This video is for anybody who ever has, or anybody who ever will sell anything on eBay. Thanks to Whokeys for sponsoring this video. You can get 25% off Windows and Office with coupon code TS25. So they've got Windows 10 Pro, they've got Home, you've got Windows 11, Office 2021, 2019, and 2016. Putting in coupon code TS25, click apply, and then watch these prices come down. Wonderful. Once you're finished, all you have to do is click on your user account up here, go to your user center, click on my purchase orders, and then you'll see everything you've purchased right there. Just view keys and codes, and you can just copy and paste your key, hit start, type activate, click on activation settings, paste it in there, click on next, and you will be activated. If you're a home user, you're going to pay 10 times more than an OEM builder or a corporation or something like that. And that's why I like heading to places like Whokeys.com to get the OEM keys so I can pay a price that makes sense. So thanks to them for sponsoring, and now to our regularly scheduled program. eBay has become more and more hostile to sellers over the years. They want to make sure that they take care of the buyers because the buyers show up and keep the platform alive by injecting money into it. Sellers get to put their products up there, and eBay's cuts keep getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and they argue that they are not really that much bigger than they were in the beginning, but they've cut out as many middlemen as possible, and now they're forcing you to integrate your bank account so that they can hold your funds for as long as they want and then put them into your bank, and if they don't like it, they can just pull things right back out of your bank. So in my opinion, it's not as good of a place as it used to be. So before we get into the actual meat of this video, the part where I talk about how this week I almost sued eBay, but at the last minute everything changed for the good, and I'll tell you what happened and how that worked out and give you some pointers on how I turned a really bad situation into something that was okay. But before I do that, I want to recommend a few things. Before you put something on eBay, I highly recommend using some local options like Craigslist, OfferUp, Facebook Market. I don't know, I've never used that before, but some people say it's good. I have used OfferUp and Craigslist with moderate success. The thing is, you're not gonna have to deal with the fees. And a tip I'll give you for those two services is just tell people no delivery and make them come to you. And don't meet at your house, meet at like a gas station that's half a mile away, or in my case, I live downtown, I meet them somewhere that's like a 3 or 4 minute walk. So that way it's not exactly where I live. Because that's just weird. On OfferUp, be very careful because they do not allow you to post your personal information or your address. They get really weird about that because they're all about safety. You may want to just be really careful on there because they will ban you for just about anything. But it is a much better platform than eBay. Now the thing about eBay is it's got a way bigger audience. So if something's not selling locally, you may have to turn to eBay to sell the items that you don't want to hold on to forever and have them clutter up your entire place. We're going to get into the eBay thing. First, I want to mention I'm going to be ignoring eBay a little bit more. And as you can see, I've organized some of my t-shirts in the background, and there's a sale over on Epic Pants with the t-shirts. But I'm also going to start putting some of the stuff, well, maybe not like something like this, but some of the old games, some of the old hardware. I'm going to just start putting one-of-a-kind used items on epicpants.com. And I'm going to price them to move, I'm going to price them like under what I think that they would probably go for on eBay. I'd rather not deal with eBay. And eBay's going to take that huge cut anyway. So a lot of it's just I'd rather give back. All right, now let's get down to business and talk about what happened with eBay. So I did that video where I compared the Geekom small little mini PC to an Intel NUC. And once we're done, I want to keep the Geekom, but I don't need the Intel NUC. So I decided to put the Intel NUC, which if you're not familiar, is a small mini PC that has pretty good specs. And it's worth about $500-600. Decided to put that onto eBay. And it sold for $490 something. I'm not going to give you all of the details of this, and I can't show you all of the correspondences on the screen because of privacy issues, but I'll walk you through it. So just, you can put the phone down and listen, or whatever you're doing. Jog and listen. So I decided to sell this. I'm eligible for the eBay International Shipping Program, or the Global Shipping Program. So this is the International Shipping Program. Tells you what it is, how it works, and we can view the details here. Now this is what's interesting about this. Right here it says eBay handles returns. Keep your sale. Your sale is complete when your item arrives at the domestic hub. They cover the refund. So this is kind of vague. But this makes me think that they're going to cover refunding the buyer. We issue the refund. If the buyer opens a return, eBay issues a refund at no cost to you. So yeah. Now what I went with was the global shipping, but if I understand correctly, if you look through all the different FAQs and stuff, it says that the global shipping is exactly the same as the international shipping except with different fees. And it seems to say that the global shipping is the same as international, just with a couple extra things. So my item gets to its destination in Europe. And the person messaged a couple of days later, and they were like, hey, the device worked, but now it doesn't work. I used your AC adapter, but I also used my own AC adapter, and now it won't turn on. So this is when they placed the return request. And generally what will happen, they have to report to eBay, and eBay gets involved because I don't accept returns. And eBay says, hey, this customer has requested a return. You better give them some sort of packing label or refund them so that they can return it. Now, since it's through the global shipping program, it's not easy to find their address. You can find it if you look really closely at all the details. It's there somewhere. It's underneath like a Dropbox or something. It's not just shown to you, but you can find their address. Now, a return for this item was $244, and the item only sold for $490 something. So it was like $244 for the return. Now, you don't want to just immediately say, yes, I'll take the return, especially if they do not give you any proof whatsoever. They just say, hey, doesn't work. What you want to do first is give them a detailed email offering troubleshooting advice, saying, hey, have you tried these things? Send them to links online for people who have the same issues. If it doesn't come on, try removing the battery, placing the battery back in, try holding the power button for 5 seconds, try removing the power cord on the back to let the capacitors drain out all of their energy before you try to reboot it. Send them a detailed email like that. And make sure you keep copies of all these because you're going to need to send these to eBay to show that, hey, I've been trying to help. And in this first email, say this. If none of this works and you go through these things and you prove that this device is broken, I will accept the return. It's always good to, show that you're willing to work with them. But they obviously bought the item, right? They want to keep it. Now, there's a scam going on that I've seen a few times on eBay, and it's bitten me a few times, where someone will buy something, and then they know that eBay almost always sides with the buyer. So they buy something expensive, $200 or $300, and it's in another country, and it gets shipped through this program, and then they want all their money back. So they don't provide anything, and they don't correspond with you. They just want their money back. And then when you realize that, oh my God, it's going to cost me $200 to issue a prepaid postage label, it's like, well, that item was only $200. It's like, okay, I'm going to end up paying the entire amount back for them to ship it back to me, and then I'm going to have an item that may or may not work. So it's like, I don't know. It's really rough. And I feel like a lot of people know that this system works this way. And I think this buyer may have known that this system worked this way as well, because they absolutely refused to show any video evidence, any photo evidence, or anything like that. You have to stay on them. You have to continually and cordially ask for details. And that's what I did. So the next day I got up and I was like, hey, did you try all those things I sent you? Let me know if the item is working. Let me know if anything is broken. Let me know, how is everything going? They ignored it. The next day, I did the same thing. This was like day 3. And at this point, they decided to close the return and open a case against me on eBay. So at that point, eBay steps in, they jump on me, and they're like, all right, you got 5 days to either issue them a full return or a prepaid postage label. And in order to do that, you can send them on yourself, or if they can get it cheaper, you need to send them PayPal, but you have to work that out with them. So I was like, good Lord. It was a mess because they wouldn't show me any proof. And I was like, okay. Another tip, when you're sending things, especially out of the country, or if it's a large item and you need signature confirmation, also get insurance. One time I sold a graphics card and I learned a hard lesson. The graphics card went to Tennessee, and it was like a $500 and something graphics card. The person signed for the graphics card. It showed up, the post office showed me the signature. The same name signed for it. And then they went to eBay and reported that the item never showed up. I took this information and I went to the post office. The post office gave me the signature confirmation information. I sent that to eBay, and eBay said, no, that's not good enough. They were like, it doesn't matter if anyone signed for it or not. This person says they didn't get it. We are going to refund them all the money, take the money out of your account and put it in theirs. And I was like in shock. I was like, what? But I have the signature confirmation right here. And they were like, no, what you should have gotten was insurance. Insurance is a pain, a huge pain. I usually use a company called Shipsurance, I think it's called. And while Shipsurance isn't the best thing in the world, it's a lot better than the post office. The post office I've had terrible luck. Like almost anytime anything goes wrong, I go to the post office with all my information, my receipts and everything, and I show them what happened. And they're just like, they don't want to work with you. They're like, no. The post office is the worst. It's almost not worth getting insurance through the post office. They're garbage. So if you can get Shipsurance, it's a little bit better, but it really helps to have that because you can also use that in your cases if anything comes up. Because with Shipsurance, they do not want the item back. They just want to refund you. They don't want to go through the whole nonsense of having it sent back to you because it can get damaged a second time, and they don't want to deal with any of that. So what they require is when the customer says this item is broken, they say, okay, well, can we get some videos or a photo showing how the item is broken? And then can we also get a written estimate from a local place that says how much it's going to cost to repair it so that we can pay? And that's how they work. So then when you're dealing with an eBay case, always add that in there as often as you can. Every time you message them, give them multiple options. Say like, hey, we could do this and this. Most of this is a dance to show eBay that you're willing to try to work this out and you're not being a jackass. But say, hey, I've got insurance. We can just give you the money that way, but the insurance requires a photo, a video, or an estimate from a local shop. Most of the time, customers, they don't want to deal with any of this stuff. They're just going to ignore and just keep yelling and screaming to eBay. And that's what happened in my case. They never wrote back to me. And I was writing them every day when I got up. I'd have my coffee and be like, all right, this just messes this person again in Europe. Be like, hey, please, if you got any pictures for me, got any proof, you got anything happen, is everything working? Just send that email every day and say, if you can work with me, then we can take care of this. Just show that you're willing to work with them. So at the end of all this, eBay said, you need to just give him a packing label. And that's what they told me. They're like, if you don't do that, we're going to rule in his favor or her favor. I'm not sure. I messaged the person and I was like, shipping is $244 by shipping it myself the cheapest I can. Can you check on your end in your country and see if there's a cheaper way to get a packing label? So I asked them this and I was like, hey, please. And then send me your PayPal address. And because eBay said I could do that and then show proof that I had paid them through PayPal. So I messaged that, and then I messaged that again, of course, because you got to bother people 900 times. Right before the case was up, in the middle of the night while I was asleep, that person responded with their PayPal address and with a quote for $144 for shipping, which is much cheaper. And I was like, oh, that's much cheaper. So I got that email first. And then I realized that email was sent right before the case was over, and so I couldn't do anything because the case was over and eBay ruled in their favor and just refunded them everything. So I was like, you know what, this is so unfair. I think I might need to just sue eBay, because I also looked at everything and I was like, how can they even do this? Because it says their international shipping program is supposed to take care of all the returns, and once I ship it and it gets to the facility in America where it goes to the other country through the global shipping program, after that, eBay says on their website that it's not my problem anymore, that they'll take care of the returns, they'll take care of the refunds, they'll make sure that I don't get any negative reviews for shipping errors or damaged products. So I got all that stuff, got all my evidence, and just submitted an appeal to eBay and said, look, your shipping thing makes it very clear that I shouldn't be liable for these sorts of things, and it says that you will take care of it, unless I'm reading this wrong or unless there's some fine print that contradicts that. But I was like, it's misleading at best, because I was lulled into a sense of safety, and now you're asking me to pay the full $490 something, and that's on top of the fact that they'd already taken out their huge cut. So I'm gonna have to refund the customer, and eBay's still getting their huge cut. So I ended up paying more than it was worth. Then I, showed all the correspondence, and I said, look, this person has never once proven anything. They didn't send any, pictures. They didn't do anything. They basically did nothing except at the last minute sent their PayPal address right before the entire claim was up. So I was like, they didn't work with me. I showed them that I had insurance. They wouldn't work with me on that. So I was like, I really feel like I'm getting screwed here. And, I said at the end of that, I said, I know this is not a lot of money to eBay, but for someone like me, it's worth going to small claims court. And I was like, even if I lose, I can't go to sleep at night because the principle of the whole thing, it just feels so stupid to let a corporation completely take advantage of me, whether it's through policies or through practices. So I did all that, and then about an hour later, I got this ridiculous email that was like, "You may rejoice." And I was like, someone actually looked at this, and it was literally like, they literally said like, "You may rejoice. I hope you have an amazing day. We've reviewed this entire case and decided that you are right, and we are ruling in your favor and granting your appeal and turning it around." The thing that really worked for me there was the fact that I kept so many records, got insurance, messaged the customer, asked them things, tried to troubleshoot it, provided all of that to eBay in a nice package, showed them everything I'd done, and then, you know, also quoted back their own legal stuff. You have to go and copy paste those links and say, like, on your page it says this and says you will do this, and just quote all of that back to them. Even though I did mention going to small claims court, I was never like, "You jackasses, I'll punch you in the eyes," or anything like that. These people who work at eBay are humans. So when you're talking to them, be gracious. Tell them something nice. Tell them something funny. It's a stressful situation. Do not take it out on them. A lot of times they are pressured to do what makes the company the most money, regardless of what is right or wrong. So it's nice to be able to like just add that little thing in there, being like, "Okay, I think I can probably sue you." Because that way, if their boss looks at it, which is what always happens, bosses, when they're like, "Hey, why did you do this? Why did you give them their money back? That's going to cost us." If their boss comes to look at that, they can say, "Hey, the guy was going to sue us." Then we'd have to either get a lawyer or just pay him out or deal with that whole nonsense. So at that point, it becomes easier to just let it go. So I do recommend, you know, if you can find anything in their legal documentation or anything on their pages that make it seem at best misleading, then put that in there. So that's it. That's how I almost ended up suing eBay. It's a long story, but maybe a cautionary tale for people who are buying and selling on eBay. If you are just kind of worried about this whole entire thing, you can turn off the global shipping thing, but eBay is supposed to take care of it. Another thing you can do is come over and manage your buyer requirements. And down here you have some pretty interesting requirements that you can set, and this will keep away a good amount of the scammers or the people who are just annoying, like people who buy things and don't pay. So I've got it set that if people have caused 2 issues in the last year where they buy things and don't pay, block them. If their primary shipping address is outside of somewhere I ship to, I block them because I don't want them buying things and, you know, annoying me when I buy this and it's like, "Oh God, I don't ship to that country, sorry." Now there's no way to just block all new accounts. I wish there were. But you can block people who are winning or have bought some of your items in the last 10 days if someone wants to just show up and buy all of your stuff. And this is the thing I like. So on the bottom here, as long as they have a review or feedback score that's higher than 5, then it's okay. They can bid for as many things as you want, but you don't want someone who has a brand new account and no feedback whatsoever to be able to come on and just buy all your stuff because they might be scamming. So I do leave this on, but it doesn't matter as long as the person has 5 or more buyer feedback. If this was an option without even having to check this, it would be amazing. I would love to be able to just say, nobody can bid on my stuff unless they have at least 5 feedback, because that would block all of the new accounts and most of the scammers. So eBay, if you're watching this, please do that. So this entire eBay thing was really frustrating, but the people who took care of the account at the end were hilarious and nice, and I was kind of in shock because it came on a day that I got some other really good news, and I was like pacing around the house. If those dogs that you see that are stray and they're not sure if you're going to pet them or hit them in the head? I felt like that. I was like, where's the hit in the head? Like, there's got to be something going on. I'm like, good things can't happen like this without someone smacking, like, yes. Like, We'll talk about food or beatings dogs in a different video, not in this one. Anyway, head over to epicpants.com, check out the new store and some of the stuff we have on sale, and get something if you like. And you never know, maybe you'll see some of the stuff that I would have been putting on eBay on there. So there it is. See you later.